Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrick Kaiser, and I am an author with autism. Welcome to the OddCast podcast. I'm here with P.L. Cobb. She's not a lover; she's a writer. And today's guest is Miss Amberly Henning, author of Contained in Darkness. So, yeah. So I hope you guys like the thumbnail.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I shared it with my personal Facebook friends. I was like, guys, look at this. I love it.
Yeah. I just I don't know. I'm trying to make the thumbnails really like poppy and everything, and like most of them seem to be really well received.
I like them.
Yeah.
They're like quirky, and
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are the OddCast, so why not?
That is true.
So, but yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Amberly, and then we'll get into some subjects.
So I graduated fourth of my class in high school. Not that that's important. I have my degree in English education. I got it from Miami University in Ohio. And I taught sixth grade for 1 year. And now I'm a stay-at-home mom / I'm writing my second book right now before I go back to work.
Gotcha. So what are some of your inspirations for your work?
Oh, I feel like throughout my life, like I have always, a lot of it has to do with my dad, because he was always into like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like a lot of things like that, and he would introduce me to those things. And like I was seeing, I already told you this, I saw Lord of the Rings in first grade at the theater with my dad.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of my inspiration comes from movies. Specifically, my first book. I had never read the book to this movie until literally this year. But Memoirs of a Geisha, which you might read my book and say, I don't see how that even relates to your book. But that helped inspire Contained in Darkness. Like when I was in like sixth grade, I was like writing copycats of like a series of unfortunate events and stuff. Because, you know, what is a sixth grader going to do except copycat?
It's true.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yep.
So, just give us a brief summary of your book, if you can.
Oh gosh, it's so hard to summarize everything, but basically,
I have that problem too.
Yeah, and without giving spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, my book is about a girl who wakes up with no memories, and she's in the middle of this bloody battlefield. She doesn't have any like armor on. She doesn't look like any of the people around her. She has no idea why she was there. And she's like, I gotta get out of here. Like, I don't know who I am or where I am, but I know I need to leave. And she ends up being, this carriage stops next to her while she's like walking along the road. This guy saves her and leaves her at a what they call a maid house. And she ends up being sold to a greedy king as a nanny. And yeah, and from there, she ends up slowly regaining her memories through dreams and realizing who she actually is.
That's really interesting. So, Amberly, you mentioned that your book was inspired by Memoirs of a Geisha, and that kind of got me thinking about how it's just really interesting, the things we consume in our life, the types of media, like whether it's related to what we're doing or not. Some, there's always that little connection because you find a little bit of inspiration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what other books or types or media or movies or music have inspired you?
Oh, so there's this song called Run Boy Run. It's by Woodkid.
Yeah.
That specific song, it's mainly the bell at the beginning. When I'm finished with this series, I'll probably start a Western fantasy because it makes like the high noon thing where you have the gunfight. That's what it makes me think of. Except there's going to be like dragons and trains and all that.
Dragons are always good. Stick a dragon on it.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I already have a ton of stuff worked out for it. Like I want the main character to be a bounty hunter, and her best friend is kidnapped, and she's like, well, I can find people, so I'm gonna go find her. And her, instead of like a dog companion, she has like a small dragon.
Nice.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, that reminds me of one of my coming up series. I'm actually going to be writing a I guess it's kind of Dragonheart meets like a detective type story, but it's like steampunk.
Dragonheart was a good book. Haven't seen the movie, but I read the book.
Yeah. So like basically.
Yeah, I think it's an adaptation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the movie isn't based on the book. The book is based off of the movie.
Nice.
I've never even seen the movie.
Yeah, movie's great. But yeah, my thing is going to be my idea is it's going to be I don't know if you know what isekai is. Like transported to another world. It's kind of the anime trope. So like basically so basically the stereotypical version is the hero dies and then is reincarnated in another world.
Okay.
And so basically that's kind of my idea. But like, basically, he's going to be reincarnated into the body of a young boy who is just hell. His parents were just murdered and mugged, and he like his new body was basically blinded by the mugger, and he has dragon eyes implanted in him and gives him like power and stuff. And then he's adopted by this wealthy guy, and he becomes the youngest detective and all this stuff. And just that'd be cool. So
that's really intriguing.
It could be a series. Yeah. The way you described it at first, now that I'm hearing the rest of it, it doesn't sound like that. But what my first thought was Nick Valentine from Fallout 4. I don't know if you play video games, but
yeah, I do. I'm a big gamer.
Okay. He's basically a detective cyborg guy. He was my favorite companion in the entire game.
Yeah.
I only play The Witcher. You get me some Geralt love.
Witcher's good, yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about your current series, and you talked about what's coming up. What like are you trying to accomplish? Like, what's your like short-term and or long-term goal? Like what do you want to reach?
Basically, I want to be able to write from home. So right now, I'm still going to have to go back to work. But eventually, I would like to just stay home and write all day because I literally have so many ideas. Writing for me is like a way to just get things out of my mind. And I also just like sharing. So basically, the goal is to be able to write from home, but also to share my stories with other people because I really enjoy hearing their feedback and what they think about the characters and what they think is gonna. My favorite thing is to know what they think will happen next.
Mm-hmm.
No one has correctly predicted the end of my current book as of yet.
Yeah. that makes me think of like my current book that I'm writing. My fiance is my beta reader and my editor right now, and So basically the book is there's a traitor among the heroes and everything, and she's throwing out her guess, and she's so far off. And then she brought up the fact of like, if it's so and so, I'm gonna be so angry. And I'm
Is
like,
it so and so?
it might be so and so, yes. But but it's
No
like
spoilers.
I was just like, I'm doing my job well. If I'm making you angry, I'm doing something right. So,
Yeah. Well, and my book, people have guessed halfway what the end is, but never the whole thing. Like they're like, I know this thing isn't real, and I was like, you're gonna have to see. And then they're like, okay, I knew it wasn't real, but you added that.
Yep. That's the greatest feeling
It's
ever is when like
When they
yeah,
don't guess
I
it.
usually get
like-
out like 1 a.m.
like when you can pull an emotional response from your readers,
Mm.
whether it's good, whether it's like it's joy, laughter, or if it's sadness or anger, like no matter what it is, if you've done that, like it's the greatest feeling ever, and it gives you a high, and you're just like, okay, I'm doing something right, I'm doing my job.
Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts on? Okay, so you've probably heard, Rick and Morty or different shows like that, or Game of Thrones. The viewers guessed what was going to happen at the end, and they were right. And so they rewrote the whole thing just so they could outsmart the viewers. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I feel like I can be a little bitter or spiteful, so I might do that. But I know it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But I also think that sometimes you have to let the readers win. You give them what they want, not because they want it, but because that is what would happen. I don't know.
What do you think you'd do if like the readers always like give out these crazy theories of like what they think a story's going to end or what it's going to happen and everything, and it's like some of them are like even better than what the author planned originally. Like what do you think you'd do if if a reader did that? Would you steal it, or would you just be like
just like write it down?
Yeah, I'd be taking notes. Like I might not use the whole thing, but maybe a portion of it. Because
like warp it and everything.
Yeah, someone did send me like a message about something. I don't remember what it was. I think they said, "Oh, this happened because of that." And that wasn't the reason. There was no reason. But I was like, "Yes, that is the reason I did that." Yep. you caught me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about like just readers. Like when you get to that point where like you have readers actually like theorizing about your story, that's when you know like, hey, I'm making it. So I'm still not there yet.
Yes.
I think if that were to happen to me, I'd probably just leave it as is. Because you still have to read the book to figure out how you get to that point, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and there's
I follow a lot of readers on TikTok, and a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them, like I've become pretty close with. One of them is a beta reader for my second book now, and they are so fantastic. I love them to pieces, and I forget where I was going with that now, but they do theorize about what's going to happen, and it's always a message at 3 a.m. Like, I think that this thing, there's a reason for it, and I'm like,
okay. So Amberly, I'm sure some of the newer authors are probably wondering, how do they go? How do I go about getting beta readers? Do you have any tips or tips, ideas, thoughts?
So for my first draft, which, it's always super crappy. Like your first draft is not going to be great.
Yeah.
For my first draft, I actually pay this guy in England to tear it apart. He does a really good job because sometimes I'm like, maybe I shouldn't ever write again. But he tears it apart so that I can put it back together in a way that makes sense
Okay.
and actually helps me along to an actually really good book. So that's what I do first is I pay that guy and then he rips it apart. I make my second draft and then I get beta readers. What I did so far, I know people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't do friends or family, but I do. My husband beta read my first, and he found a lot. He's really good at finding inconsistencies. Like, I don't think this person would do this thing because they already knew this thing, if that makes sense. So I do use my husband, and also I posted on TikTok that I needed beta readers, and they came flying in. And then there is also a Facebook group that you can post on, and people will apply to be your beta readers there.
Oh, okay. So what do you look for in beta readers? Because I know like a lot of people will apply, but not everyone will be your specific type of reader.
That's right. So for my second book, I had to be a little bit more selective, especially like if you didn't read my first book, the second book will literally probably not make any sense at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So you had to read the first. Yeah, it makes the pool a lot smaller. So basically, I was looking for someone who seems to read a lot. So if I go on, like people applied through TikTok, kind of. So I went and looked at their TikTok pages, and I saw if they post about fantasy or if they read books at all. And then I kind of asked, like, do you like fantasy? Did you read book one? Are you comfortable with? I've been using Google Docs with my beta readers so that they can. Yes, and they can leave comments, which is perfect. So, like, are you comfortable with Google Docs and email? I'm probably not as picky as other authors, just because I'm new. But yeah, they show the interest in the book, and they're not just like a random person who was like, I haven't read a book since high school, but I'm going to apply. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So you use TikTok a lot, I'm getting. What is it like using TikTok as an author? Like, what are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? What do you find?
If you'd get more traction on TikTok, is that correct or?
Oh wait, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, sorry. I feel like, to add to what Patrick was saying, like I feel as if on TikTok you'd get more traction. Like I know on Instagram they have Reels, and those seem to be very popular for a lot of people.
Yeah, the algorithms in both things are so different. Like something that doesn't get views on TikTok might get a lot of views on Instagram Reels. It's so confusing for some reason for me. It gives me a lot of anxiety. But I use TikTok a lot. I've found a lot of readers on there. And if you can make a really good video, chances are you're going to have a lot of readers. I made a really silly video about my book, about a scientific aspect that I used that wasn't really explained. And it had something to do with how the main character woke up in that battlefield. And literally overnight, over 1,000 pages were read on Kindle Unlimited. So if you can find like a really good way to like frame a part of your book, you can find people who will immediately open it. And Kindle Unlimited is really big on there too. So bonus points if your book is there.
That's good to know.
Nice. Yeah. So what else, like where else do you find like good traction and feedback for your books?
Goodreads.
Oh yeah,
I often find that Goodreads is a killing field, so it kind of
it can
scares
be.
me. Yes.
Yeah,
It
people will troll you on Goodreads. If you do something that they don't like, they will, you know,
Yep.
it's kind of crazy.
Goodreads scares me, but I also feel like if I can tell that they're not being a troll, and I
Mhm.
can take any critique they have, I can probably make the next book better. That person might not pick up the next book, but I always try to look for like the silver lining in a critique. Like, oh, they didn't like this person because of this thing they said. Why did this thing they said make them upset? And then I would go from there and like really dig into like deeper parts of my own writing, and who I was trying to represent as that character versus how they actually came off when they did or said that thing. So yeah, Goodreads is good for critiques, I think.
Yeah. So
I don't really use
sorry.
other things. No, you're fine. I don't really use Twitter or Instagram because I don't know why they just feel foreign.
Oh yeah.
And
I think Twitter's okay. I find, like, personally, when I used it before, it's better, like, for conversational things. But, I was part of the writing community there, and I never really dealt with any, like, harassment or anything like that. Like, everybody was nice. But, with the pandemic, anxiety shot right up. And that was the same for everybody else, and everyone was losing their minds. So I was like, I'm just going to delete my account just in case.
Yeah.
Kind of regret it, but yeah.
So,
what do you do? Sometimes getting rid of social media is good, but I don't feel like I would get readers if I didn't have it.
Yeah, that's like the do you or don't you? It's like a catch-22 either way.
Yep.
So, so we talked about how like a little bit of you're into nerdy stuff, like you like some anime, you like Korean dramas, apparently.
Yes,
and things like that.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, like what really just you're into and what you're watching right now.
So interestingly enough, Disney Plus just came out with their own K-drama, which I thought was really interesting and weird. I watched like 10 minutes of the first episode. I wasn't feeling it, but there's a lot of really good K-dramas on Netflix. And then there's I feel like people might know about it now. When I first found it, I was like, I found a hidden gem, but a lot of people use it. It's called Vicky, and it has
Never heard of it.
like, oh, okay, yeah, it has like a bunch of Asian things from all of the like Asian countries, like Chinese, Korea, Japan, all those things. I feel like when I watch K-dramas, it helps me really pick out tropes that I like and dislike, especially the old ones, because the older K-dramas like go over the top for so many tropes that it's ridiculous. My sister-in-law, she doesn't watch as many as I do, but she has watched one called Boys Over Flowers, which I really didn't want to watch. But it's a high school like romance, and it's so campy that it is hilarious. Like the popular bully boys walk in, and like their hair is like flowing in the wind inside, and like there's like
I love it.
Yeah, there's like this light coming off of them, and there's this crowd of people who are just waiting to get a glimpse of these boys.
You got me sold right there.
It's
Yeah, actually,
hilarious.
Blowing in the mysterious wind. Yes.
I actually I figured out that like a lot of K dramas or like even just Korean shows in general are based
Mhm.
off of animes. So like Boys Over Flowers is actually based on a manga, which was turned into an anime in Japan first.
Oh.
So,
Wait, is it? It's not based on Oh, I watched one episode of the one that I'm thinking of. It's like the boys. It's not the boys' club.
Host Club,
It's like we're, huh?
Host Club,
That sounds familiar. I don't
That's what
watch
I
anime.
thought.
or on High School Host Club, where the girl pretends to be a
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That doesn't-
That was the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look that up. I watched one episode.
There's no Waffle House for miles and miles.
Mm-hmm.
I missed what you said.
Yeah.
I didn't say.
We didn't say anything.
No.
Oh,
I'm nodding along. You might have heard my roommate actually.
Yeah, he's
He's
But,
actually a
yeah,
lot quieter than the last time.
for sure.
Yeah.
No offense.
Korean dramas though, I feel like they're really campy, and the really really campy ones I don't really like, but the semi campy ones I can get on with. And I feel like they also, so many of them are romance based that I'm trying to really focus on that aspect. Like, how do they fall in love? How do they show that they're falling in love? I mean, a lot of it's like lingering looks and stuff like that. But other than that, like, I guess what I'm talking about really is like the love languages of the main characters and how they're represented in the show. So yeah. And I'm actually learning semi. I don't have a lot of time to focus on it, but I'm trying to learn Korean right now so that I can watch without subtitles.
That would be
But
very nice actually. Because sometimes
Yeah.
you'll be reading and then you'll be missing stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Yes. We have a Korean grocery store that I go to sometimes. My husband and I really like mandu, which is their not biscuit. It's not a biscuit. Dumpling. We really like mandu, so we go and buy the mandu from there. And I just said, I spoke a little bit to the cashier there in Korean, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing so well." And I was like, "I only said goodbye." But yeah, it's a good time.
So on the subject of like love and stories and love languages and stuff, what are some of your biggest pet peeves and the stuff you're trying to avoid in your own writing and the stuff you're trying to capitalize on?
This is one thing I've noticed in the current book that right now I read multiple books at a time. So, but one of the books that I'm reading right now is A Court of Fury. So I'm reading that, and then
is that the Sarah J. Maas book?
That is. It's the second.
I liked that book in the series. I think that was the favorite of mine.
The second book?
Yeah, A Court of Mist and Fury. I didn't really care too much of A Court of Wings and Ruin. You haven't read it, so I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
And I have not read the fourth one. I just don't care anymore. But the second one is definitely good.
It's not like my favorite books ever. And the first book, I could forget about it. But the second book is a lot better.
Yeah, nothing really interesting happened in the first book until the end.
Yeah, I did feel like there was some character development with Feyre that was really good. Instead of just watching, she was finally like doing. But
surprised that book's as popular as it is then.
Because it's smut, Patrick.
Oh.
Yes.
So yeah,
very smut.
Yeah, I don't read smut. So.
Smut makes me like uncomfortable to write. Not because like I'll read it, but like I read Ice Planet Barbarians at the beginning of the year because I just had to know what it was about.
Oh, I actually
But,
bought that book on Kindle.
Oh, you
Because I
did?
heard about it,
literally read it. I read it in 2 days, which
Oh,
is
I
like
heard it was
a
really good. Like, it was popular enough that they did like a special edition rerun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it got popular because of TikTok, because everybody was making TikToks about it. And they're like, look at this crazy book about aliens. And they're hot.
Sounds kind of like Mass Effect. Aliens.
Hey, the aliens are hot in Mass Effect too.
Like, and it was.
I mean, you're not wrong.
we go where Patrick dares not tread. Sorry, Patrick.
More proud to you.
The way that Ice Planet Barbarians was written was so easy to read. I felt like I was reading an adult children's book. I think that's why I read it so quickly.
Okay.
Because
that's not a bad thing.
Interesting description.
like it's the way that the sentences were structured. It was very simplistic language. If that makes sense. Or at least I felt like it was.
No,
I can't
say
I'm any better. Like, but I did enjoy the fact that I wasn't stressed ever about reading that book. I wasn't ever stressed about what was going to happen next. Like, it was relaxing, kind of.
Oh, okay. So it's a fun read.
Yes,
that's good to know. Because, like, you know, some romance books, you got your different like subgenres, and some of them are a little bit darker and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'd be able to read something like that, but like a nice romance that has a healthy relationship dynamic would be good, you know, or maybe like an LGBT romance or whatever, just some diversity, you know.
Yeah. So I was asked. We went on like a major tangent.
I know.
We did. I think you were talking about writing romance.
I'll repeat the question. So, and when it comes to love and like stories, writing it, reading it, whatever, what are your biggest pet peeves? What are you trying to avoid in your own writing, and what are you trying to capitalize in your own writing?
Okay, so I think a child just knocked on the door. So I'm going to look really quick.
Can't catch a break.
Aw. This is the most wholesome podcast.
Right?
Yeah. I like your shirt, by the way.
Podcast over. That's a perfect note to end it on. It's just done.
We
can't top it. We just
can't top that. That was too wholesome.
So romance things I don't like. There's this part in Akatar, right, where Rhysand is like giving Feyre this drink that makes her black out, and she can't remember what happens. But he's like, she's like on his lap and stuff. And I really don't like this.
But he did it for her own good, you know. He's a feminist.
No, it makes me feel really icky, honestly.
You have to say he's a feminist.
Oh, he said it's implied that he is in the second book.
Oh, what I will say, I feel like he is.
Sorry.
I feel like he's like a little bit better.
Yeah.
But from the first book, I still am just like, that feels really gross. So anything that's really predatory, and I've noticed it in some K-dramas too. Like the man will like, the guy will like put his hands around the girl like this against the wall, and I'm like, you're done.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'm finished.
So like, so I'm trying to understand what the like scene was in that thing you just described. Like, so like she blacked out from a drink, and it's like they did things.
Are we going to tell you the whole synopsis? So at the end,
don't tell me the whole synopsis. I'm trying to understand that scene.
I mean, the book's been out for like what, 10 years, 5 years?
I don't read that kind of stuff. Spoil me. I don't care.
I'll let Amberly
Spoiler
take the lead
warning
on this.
for everybody.
This is Amberly's show.
Right.
Okay. Basically, in that book, Feyre is stuck with this like evil lady named Amarantha, and she has her love imprisoned next to her because I guess, and I didn't understand this exactly, but I guess Amarantha is in love with who she loves, and there's this guy.
Was she
who is,
in love
like,
with? I
working?
don't remember that.
What?
I thought she was in love with Rhysand.
See, that's why I'm confused, because I don't really understand the whole thing with Amarantha, because I thought that she did all this for Tamlin because she wanted Tamlin, yet Rhysand was Amarantha's whore. So I'm confused still.
See, I thought she cursed everybody because Tamlin insulted her or something like that. Like he was really like a cocky young guy, and he's like, whatever, old lady. She didn't like that.
You know what? I think you might be right.
That's
Because I strictly listen to audiobooks since I have, four kids. It's how I get my reading in.
Yeah.
So I listen literally on almost 2.5 times speed. So sometimes I miss important things. But, I get done with a 24-hour book in 10 hours? I don't know.
Well, that's good.
But it's nice. It's nice because it's hard to find the time to sit down and actually read, especially when I'm writing and driving my son to like preschool and all of the things.
Yeah, as a mom of 4, you probably have like a hard time finding like time for yourself to write because you have all these other obligations that come first.
Yeah. My oldest is 10. He'll be 11 this year. And my youngest is she just turned 2. So like 2 of them are in school. So while they're in school, I just take care of the younger 2. And the older of the 2, he goes to preschool twice a week. And I can write like during nap time, basically. So that's when I get my writing in. Still not very long, but I get it in there. Or like when they all go to bed, that's when I'll write. It's a lot quieter then. But also my husband is sometimes like, we should play like DDO, or we should like do this other thing, or sometimes we'll play D&D. So yeah.
Yes. So since we were diving into spoiler territory, have you guys ever read Again But Better by Christine Riccio?
No, but that sounds
I
familiar.
have not.
So Christine Riccio is she's like the top book review YouTuber. And she wrote her own book and everything. And like she has 2 books out right now. One's called Again But Better, and they're both standalone, so they don't connect. But one's called Again But Better, and one's called Better Together. And the common consensus is that, like, especially after her books, is like booktubers just because you read a lot of books does not mean you're qualified to write them.
I was gonna ask, was it a good book?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. A lot of people like it, but I think that's just out of loyalty to her as a fan of her YouTube channel. But like the more critical reviews are just like they point out like a lot of issues and stuff. And like she just does a lot of weird things in her writing. Like the new one, the Better Together, is a cross between The Parent Trap and Freaky Friday. And the whole Freaky Friday aspect just doesn't make sense.
I'm trying to figure out how that would work because that's 2 separate things.
Exactly, but it's like So like apparently like she just throws in these random magical plot twists that are just one-offs. Like there's no explanation anywhere in the books about magic being existing in this world or anything. But then she just pulls it out of her butt, and it's just like it just happens, and it's like, what am I reading here? So there's that. But
Was her book edited?
yeah, that's the whole thing. Is like apparently it was edited, but like people are just tearing it apart. Like, why did the editors not catch this stuff? Like,
Is it one of
God.
those cases where like it was edited, but the author was like, "This is my masterpiece. I don't have to change everything. It's perfect."
Yeah, the idea
Yeah.
that a lot of people have is that like just because she's got like over 1 million subscribers and stuff, so like she's very popular. So I think the common idea is just that the publisher didn't care. They were just like, oh, she's got 1 million followers. She's going to get book sales at the wazoo. So it doesn't matter if it's edited right.
You know what? That's true. Like Gabby Hanna, Jake Paul, and other YouTubers. That's happened too.
But
right?
But anyway, my point. I was getting to a point. So one of the biggest frustrations people had with our first book, again, but better, is that the main character, the main chick, is like she's the other woman. And it's like she romanticizes being the other woman and being basically a homewrecker and stuff. And it's just like, what? And so that kind of gets me thinking on like love, like we were talking about love and stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like those kind of things, like that just bothers me. It's like, why romanticize these things that like in our regular everyday lives, we're just like, no, that's disgusting. We don't want to do that. But then that's popular in books. And it's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think
like
there's definitely like a divide between what is acceptable in reality and what is acceptable in fiction. Because like I just read in Akamath was where Rhysand and Feyre are together and someone calls Feyre a whore. And Rhysand breaks his arm like 4 or 5 times. And then is like, if you go to a healer, I'll do it again, or something like that. And I know if it were real life, I would probably throw up and never see that person again.
Oh yeah. No, Rhysand is not a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fiction, you're just kind of like.
Yeah. Well, like on like there's like people are getting really up in arms about like certain animes because of the way they portray their female characters and the way they dress and everything. Like the female characters are awesome and they're strong as hell. They're really strong, independent women. But like it's the way they're dressed and people get up in arms about that. And then like they'll be okay with things like I don't know how many toes I'm going to step on with this one, but like Twilight. Like I've actually like I watched a YouTube video that like dissected Twilight, and the fact that Edwards is actually like really abusive.
Oh no! Oh yeah, he's bad.
And it's just like things like, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So like you're okay.
I will watch like
hour-long
videos dissecting stuff like that because it's so interesting. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, you're fine. But it's like just they'll be okay with that in a story they like.
Yeah.
But then they'll be and moan about like just random stuff over here that doesn't really even impact anything. It's like, huh? So it's like I feel like people like have a double standard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel the same way, but at the same time, like I can't say those are the same people, but also like, you know, I don't know. Like I definitely get what you're saying. But there are a lot of accounts that tear Twilight to pieces, especially on TikTok, and it's
the popular
most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
It's glorious. That and 50 Shades.
Yeah, 50 Shades. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, do you guys know anything about Twilight and like 50 Shades of Grey and like how everything is connected?
Well, yeah, we're stepping on everyone's toes. 50 Shades is basically Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, that's
written by the amazing, great, only Snow Queen's Ice Dragon, aka E.L. James. And she denies it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 50 Shades was like a Twilight fanfic, but I'm pretty sure Stephanie Meyer said that I don't know if you guys know this band, but the band MCR is what made her want to write Twilight, and like Gerard Way and the way he looks and all these things. And then when you look at Gerard Way, this is all information I found on the internet. I mean, I can't talk to Gerard Way and be like, is this true? But
wish we could.
The reason he started the band was because of 9/11. So like you have 9/11, which makes MCR, which makes Twilight, which makes 50 Shades of Grey.
What?
Evolution
That's
of
a
media.
hell of a rap. That's a hell of a rap.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
But yeah, like what you were saying, PL, about like how the author of 50 Shades denies it being fan fiction.
She denies it. And
but like there's evidence.
Meyer,
there's evidence. Like she actually admitted it years ago before it got popular that it was fixed fan fiction, and then now like that it's popular, she's like, oh no, it's not fan fiction.
Yeah, it came to her in a dream. Stephanie Meyer, from what I understand, did not pursue any litigation against her, which is very nice of her. E.L. James does not, from what I heard, is not so nice to fans of 50 Shades. So if people write fan fiction, she'll give them the ban hammer, tell them to stop it.
Yep.
Wait,
yeah, I honestly don't think that like
that's what I heard. Allegedly.
I think 50 Shades is different enough from Twilight to where like she couldn't sue. Because like it is quite different.
They changed it, but originally it was called Master of the Universe, and the names were like Bella and Edward.
Gotcha.
And Edward, who became Christian Grey, was a vampire. Mm-hmm. I believe he was a billionaire vampire. Yeah, or I don't know. I read the first 50 Shades. Yeah, it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah, on the subject of like authors that do that kind of thing, though, like what you were saying about the 50 Shades author, like giving the ban hammer and stuff. Like, I don't know why people treat their fans like that. Like, these people,
I think Anne Rice did that too.
It's like these fans are the ones that make you. And if you burn your bridge with them, you're screwed.
Honestly, I would weep tears of joy if anyone ever like drew my characters or like
that's my dream. It's like I want people to obsess about my world. Like, come on.
Yes. People make all these TikToks about ACOTAR and like all these other books, and I'm just like, do it for my book, please. One day.
It's crazy. And it's like these people get so arrogant that it's like they don't appreciate the fact that they're so lucky. It's like you have people who love your stuff so much that they are so invested that they will draw your characters, they will write about your characters, they will make videos and YouTube channels about your characters. It's like that's the dream for any author. And the fact that you're there, but yet you're like doing this to your fans, it's like that's crappy. Like I get it if like they're actually like stealing your book and stuff, like those YouTube channels that like post like full audiobook stuff on their YouTube channel. That's like and also like I just found out that there's a site going around that like apparently is they have a membership fee and they give my book away for free, but they charge members to read it. So it's like, great, yeah.
Wow.
Don't know how I'm going to handle that.
They charge people to read your book that they stole from you?
Yep.
What the hell?
Wow.
I know. It's really it pissed me off so much. I'm still trying to figure out how to go about it. I'm trying to figure out if it's a scam site that's just using my books as a lure, or if they actually
giving
have
everybody
my book.
Viruses. Maybe they're giving everybody.
I'm wondering.
Viruses.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I don't. It's hard to tell like what's legit and what's not. So, but yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, just like if that kind of thing happens, like then I mean, an author has the right to like say, cut it out, stop. But like, if people are just like doing it out of love and not like trying to cheat you or steal your stuff or sell it, what's the harm? I mean, you're just getting more publicity for your stuff.
Yeah,
It's like that's
exactly.
free promotion.
Exactly. And like it also shows how much other people love your book, and I would be so flattered to know that someone liked my work enough to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many authors, and not even just authors, but like a lot of creatives. Like there's people like even companies like Disney and things like that. Like they just treat their fans like crap. It's like, okay, like somebody's not even like I think there was somebody used a word that like Disney used. Loki, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to trademark a Norse god.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck? So
That's culture. They tried to trademark the Day of the Dead, from what I understand, which is a cultural holiday festival. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, also like don't know if I want to go down this rabbit hole, but here we are. So like Disney. So here's a warning to all authors upcoming and just like ones that are making it right now.
Uh-oh.
Be very careful with who you get in bed with your work, because like Disney, like so like there was a bunch of so remember the old Star Wars novels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like Star Trek novels, or even like Predator and things like that. Like all that stuff under Fox. Mm-hmm. So like, and like Lucasfilm and stuff. So those people like had contracts that like they would write these books and they would get royalties for them from their publisher.
Yes.
Well, after Disney bought Fox, they basically said, oh, that was a contract under you and Fox. We're Disney, so we don't have to uphold that. But yet we're still going to sell your books. And it's like, what the heck?
Well, that's theft.
Yeah, and it's like there's a bunch of stuff like that going around. So, and then also just I was going to get into the fact of like authors in general. So like there's a YouTube channel that I like called Heart Breathings, run by Sarah Cannon, and she is awesome. She gives really good advice. She gives great writing advice. She taught me a lot. But I guess she and another author like got into a legal battle because the other author like accused her of stealing her teaching methods and like using them in her YouTube videos. And so now that author was suing her, and it's just like, when do we get to this point where like people like authors and creatives just like get off their high horse and realize that like they don't own everything they do, and like they're not owed a good review and things like that. Like just these authors that like do these kind of things, and then like they'll attack reviewers for giving them a low review, or not even a low review, like a 3 or 4 star review. They'll attack them, and it's just like, get over yourself. Like, you realize how lucky you are.
Yeah, I feel like when people are like that, like, oh, like, I mean, I have a teaching degree. Like, there are certain ways that you can teach, and you do it in a certain way, and it's not going to change whether you're teaching like the sentence structure of a question versus a sentence. Like, you can't sue someone over that. And it, to me, it speaks volumes about how they feel. It's not about creating a community for them. It's about making money. If that makes sense. Like, if that other YouTuber were to actually want to help people, it would be about creating a community of people who actually are interested in helping people teach. But when you react that way to other people, it says that you want the opposite of that.
Yeah, well, like that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this, like with this podcast and also just my YouTube channel. Is like, I want to build a community. And I mean, yeah, gaining followers and eventually making money would be great. But my goal is like the problem I found whenever I first got published was that nobody with any decent following would give me the time of day for an interview, for a talk, for me to give them a free book to review, for anything. Nobody does that because they only want the views and the money and the subscribers and all that stuff. And it's like, I want to be different. I want to like eventually, hopefully I hope we get a big following, but like, my goal with this is to like help the little guys. Like, I want to be that channel that like says, hey, you have 100 followers on social media total. No problem. Come on the podcast. We've got over 5,000 subscribers. We'll help you get seen. That's the kind of thing I want to do. And it's like, I wish more influencers would do that. It's like, you have this amazing following and you're doing nothing with it, but like kind of being selfish. It's like, help the little guys get to where you are. Like, if more people did that, we could really just, I feel like that's a start of like something. Like if more people would do that. But it's like, I get that like making money and keeping your following and getting viewers is important. But I think, in my opinion, like what we're trying to do, like if eventually we get following and everything, I feel like helping the little guy and going that route gets you a lot more positive press than anything else. Like spread, and they'll be like, hey, you're a debut author. You don't have any following. Go to this podcast. They'll help you get seen. So I
You're like the Guy Fieri of books.
What is it? Dungeons and Dragons and Dives?
In the best way possible.
I'm stealing that and I'm putting it on a shirt. Just saying.
Okay.
That's actually a meme. There's someone who just takes like old book covers and they jazz them up.
Nice. Yeah, but yeah, that's the kind of thing that I want to do with this, and it's like I wish more people would do it. But anyway, that was kind of tangent.
Community is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like the on TikTok the community is mostly strong right now. In its current state, there's a little bit of drama that I think people are using to play up their followers.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like I didn't have a lot of followers when I first started on TikTok, and I didn't really understand why. I was trying to save who I followed for people I actually wanted to follow. And then I realized that like being an author and being in a place where people appreciated books would mean that I would probably need to be a part of a community. And as soon as I started following other authors, other readers, book reviewers, things like that, they started following me back, and I was up to 1,000 followers in like a few weeks. It was crazy. But basically, like TikTok is a really good place to find a community.
So you're saying follow people and a lot of them will follow you back? Is that what you're saying?
Most of them will. I have found that some people will. There were these things, book follow parties, right? And you would like post what you're reading, and whoever liked it, you would go follow them and they would follow you back. But some of those people would not do that, which means, hold on, I'll tell you the number right now. My following is actually, I'll tell you how many followers I have versus how many I'm following. It means that if they don't follow you back, that you are actually following more people than you are following you. So I'm following 3,365 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2,089 followers. So like that means like over 1,000 people. Over 1,000 people from those book follow parties did not follow their end of the deal. And a lot of people have been deleting those people, but I don't even know how to tell, honestly. Yeah. And I'm not that spiteful, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm just going to leave.
When I had an actual like Twitter account for my authorship, I did that. Like I did the follow for follow and follow trains and follow parties and all that stuff. And like I was almost up to 1,000 followers. But it's like, I guess on Twitter it wasn't that big a deal because like I could just, I don't know if it is. I don't know. But my problem with that is like, I hate that because like then your feed gets so blown up and oversaturated with a lot of things you don't want to look at, and it's just like I don't like it. So like that's kind of where I'm at, and it's like I really want followers, but I don't even have to do that.
You
I
don't
want people
to follow anyone because like you want to curate who you're following. You want to vet, vet these people. What if it's somebody who shares some really controversial stuff? Someone's going to ask you to like answer for that, and it's like I didn't know it was follow for follow. I had no idea this person was like that. You gotta. I guess that's like the purity culture.
Well, also just like I want people to follow me because they're interested in me and my stuff, not because it's like I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing. But then they never interact with me ever. That's my biggest problem. Exactly. There's like a problem with on the social media sites is that like you don't really get anywhere unless you get interaction. So like even if you have thousands of followers, if you're barely like getting any likes or comments or anything on your stuff or shares, doesn't really matter. I mean, it's kind of pointless otherwise. It's like the algorithm doesn't pick that up unless you get likes, comments, and shares. But that's the big thing that the algorithms look for. So like followers are nice and they motivate more followers. But at the end of the day, the sites aren't going to like push you up if you don't get the interaction. And that's what the problem with a lot of these follow for follows is that like you get all these followers, but no interaction. So like you basically just got a big number of crap in your feed, but you never get any likes on your stuff. You never get any shares, no comments, positive or negative, doesn't matter. Just like you get nothing. So it's really pointless.
Exactly. I've stopped doing those follow parties strictly for that reason because it gives anxiety a little bit when I go to my following feed and I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, I've never seen one of your videos before because I've literally followed so many people that in a day, I can't even get through all the videos that have been uploaded. I know I myself on some days have uploaded 6 videos in one day. So like, if all the other people that I followed are doing that, I cannot watch 9,000 some videos in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do those Instagram follow for follows, and that was the same thing. Like I stopped doing it after a while. I mean, they helped. I think most of the people, they were pretty good. Like they didn't just unfollow once you followed them. But I don't, it's just a lot of work, especially if you're doing it yourself. Like as indie authors, like we do a lot of stuff by ourselves, whether you're new at this or you're a seasoned pro, like you might not be able to afford to have somebody, come in, handle your social media for you.
Yeah.
That's where I'd say like, I agree with you, Amberly, is like, that's the goal. That's the dream is like to be able to like just write from home, just focus on your books and just like have that cha-ching coming in. It's like, that's the dream. It's like,
yeah. And I mean, I don't have to be like a millionaire or anything off this. I just want people to enjoy my books and I want to be able to write my books without worrying where my next paycheck is going to come from or anything like that.
Yeah, that's my line is like, I always say like, my biggest line is just that I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want to be successful enough to support my family. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
If I can get by and we can live comfortably and never really worry about much because I got income coming in from this stuff and I can write what I love and do what I love as a job, I'm golden. I don't care. I don't need to like be on I don't need to be on billboards or be promoted on the internet or whatever. I just want to succeed. That's all I want.
Oh, speaking of the internet, have you seen the Brandon Sanderson thing going around right now?
Yep. his video that like
was that the clickbaity thing?
Yeah,
I didn't watch it, but I read the comments. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Brandon Sanderson."
Yeah,
I've never read any of his books, but I haven't
watched it, but like
He finished The Wheel of Time after Robert
Mhm.
Jordan passed, so I
Mhm.
actually have read his writing. Yeah, he's a good writer. I think he did a good job finishing up the series and tying up loose ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, other than
Now,
that, I
the
haven't read
funny-
his other books.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is like I haven't watched the video, but like the way he promoted it was like I gotta come clean. Like it was some really bad
Yeah.
secret, like he was in trouble somehow or something, or like under a lawsuit or something. And then
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh my god, what's happening to Brandon?"
It's
And
like,
they clicked on
Brandon,
the
what did you
video.
do?
They clicked on the video, and he's just like, "April Fools early," but
Doesn't
like
he have like 5 manuscripts ready to go? Or
four.
something. He's like
Four.
plop right on the table.
Yeah, four. Yep. You got
Just
4 surprise books
just
coming this year. So
pooped out all these books.
that was the big announcement. So
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder like where the publishing industry is going, because I feel like at some point, like maybe I'm crazy, but at some point like we don't maybe need the traditional route anymore.
Yeah.
Because I mean
No.
I published my books myself.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what you guys did, but I
Mhm.
probably in total have spent less than $1,000 on my first book, not including my second book, but on my first book at least less than 1,000 to get it out there.
Lucky you.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I got my book cover for $35 from Get Covers. Shout out to Get Covers because they're actually in the Ukraine. So stand with Ukraine.
Yeah, I paid $30 for my covers as well. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
And but I paid a friend to do them. So
Okay.
and I've got like probably 7 or 8 series like just lined up.
Yeah.
All these covers just coming down the pipeline. So
Oh, nice.
I've got all my covers backlogged. I'm good.
I do my own covers. I studied
I
graphic
wish I
design,
could
so
do that.
yeah.
I tried to get into drawing with my laptop. My laptop turns into a tablet, and like I'm able to draw on it, but I am so mad at my father. My dad was a great artist. Like I remember being a kid and asking him to draw me all the time. And my siblings, they got that drawing gene, and I didn't. And it wasn't fair at all.
Technically, you did get the drawing gene. Your paintbrush is just words. So.
But yeah, so basically I spent $35 on my cover. I bought the copyright for I can't remember. I think it's like 45 or 65. I spent $300 on hold on, I'm thinking on Pro Writing Aid because I'm too poor to afford
I thought you were 2.8.
Yeah, Pro Writing Aid, and then I just my husband is really good at finding those typos, and then if Pro Writing Aid didn't find them, and then after all of those rounds of edits, I get my author proof copy, and then I reread it twice, and then fix anything that I found.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, I've spent so much money on my books, and I'm sad to say barely gotten anywhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know if just people are too intimidated by the fact that it's verse, or if it's like I don't know if it's just like I'm not marketing it correctly, or I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But like I feel like
it's always marketing because there is someone out there who will rave about your book no matter what it is. Like Zodiac Academy, I do not like those books. I got 10% into the first book and didn't like it, but people love those books. There are always people out there who will love your book. So I feel like you just always have to market until you find that community of people. But it's just so difficult because like my degree is in English. It is in education. Like I don't know how to market something. So mainly my TikTok is full of like really silly videos that have almost nothing to do with my book. But I mean, I do have some readers who are really invested in my books. So I guess I'm trading like quantity for super quality readers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be happy with that. Like, basically, the only sales I ever get are the people in my sphere, so like PL or any of the other authors I know, or my family or friends. And then I will get tons of people grabbing it for free when I do free sales.
Yes.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, and then you might get like one review.
Yeah. Well, like the biggest
I get no reviews whatsoever.
I didn't.
The frustration
I just want some bad reviews. Please, people, give me bad reviews. Whatever.
Something, yeah. The frustration I have is that like the reviews I do get like are 90% always positive. Like my average rating is a 4-star. Like people like my books when they give them a chance, but it's like I don't know. Just a lot of people are intimidated by poetry, and it's like, but yet like freaking verse novels on the like the traditionally published ones that are really popular and marketed for the wazoo, they like have tons of followers. Like there's a bunch of verse novels on the New York Times bestsellers list.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, how do I get that audience? How do I reach that audience? There's no way to actually direct myself to get in there and market to them directly. There's nothing online for that.
Yep.
Like there's like the hashtags on Twitter or Instagram and stuff that I can use called verse novels, but even that doesn't really get me anywhere. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And it's just like, oh my gosh. So like, I know people will like them if they try them. So.
Yeah, and like I have family who's always like, how many books have you sold so far? And when I say, I think 80, and over 6,000, 7,000 pages have been read on Kindle Unlimited, they're like, oh. And I'm just like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, even a little bit is a lot, right? It's always baby steps. And from what I've heard, once you have a few books published and you've got your readership, you've got your diehards, it'll start trickling in eventually. You'll be able to pay a bill, 2 bills, whatever. Yeah. That's what they say anyways.
Well, like what we were talking about before was like what you asked Amberly about, like you think that like traditional publishing is going to eventually go away. Well, like I think they should, because who likes gatekeepers anyway?
Yeah.
But like just eventually, like even if traditional publishing goes away, there's going to be gatekeepers for indie publishing.
Oh, gatekeepers are never going to go away.
They're never going to go away. So.
But I guess like if we're gonna bring the conversation back to A Court of Thorns and Roses, that was that was traditionally published. That book was professionally edited. It was. Nothing happened until the end. And then at the end, she's like this Amazon warrior fighting this giant worm thing. Woo!
I know!
And she's getting essayed and like, and resand. And the next book is like this, feminist icon. Wow.
Yeah.
That, I was literally so bored. I was so bored for most of ACOTAR that I really didn't have any hope in the second book. Yeah. And it's better. It's better. I'm still kind of like kind of icky on resand, but kind of not anymore. But
I've heard he gets worse again in the latest book.
That's like how I feel with.
Yeah, I think it's the Nesta girl power.
That's how I feel with like I said, a lot of the traditionally published verse novels that are popular. Like I was telling Amberly before we got started, so like a lot of those really successful verse novels, they're really dark, really gritty, really depressing, and like the way they're written, for me, it just sounds like a robot. It's like a paragraph cut into stanzas. It's not actual poetry. And it's like I try to read it and everything, and it's like no, but like they cover like sexual abuse, drug abuse, racism, all that stuff, which is good stuff to tackle. but like, where's the fun ones? Like, where are the Harry Potter-esque stories told in verse? And like, there's nowhere to be found. And like, I looked online before I actually started writing my stuff, and it's like the common consensus was you can't write those kind of stories in verse. It just doesn't work. Never, you can't do it.
Like whimsical stories.
Yeah, whimsical stories. And it's like, I was just like, you know what? Screw you. I'm gonna do it. And I did
It's
it.
like that
And
noise.
every time somebody reads it, they love it. And it's like, okay, I'm doing something right. I just need to find a way to broaden my reach.
There's a sound on TikTok where it's like, fine, I'll do it myself. You should use that.
Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, but I'm actually thinking about so I have a whole backlog of like story ideas I eventually want to get to someday, and one of them, like I have like a document titled "Autism" verse novels. So like just covering different aspects of that because I have autism and I know what it's like. But my thought was like one of the ones that I really love, that I really want to write, and I was actually thinking about it today. I'm like, I might try to do that after I get my current series finished, just to kind of cleanse my palate. But it's basically so the main character has autism and stuff, and it's basically a love story. But there's a lot of drama, a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of some humor and stuff like that. And it was like, I want to like tell this, but in verse. And I think that'd be really cool. And I think that could reach a lot of people, and it would probably hit a good market. But it's like, I also like don't want to do that just for that reason. I don't know. I want my current stories to take off.
You don't want to do it just for the money?
I don't want to do it just for the money or because it'll reach a good market. Like I hate that. Like I hate it whenever authors like play to what's popular. It's like, why not start your own thing and try to make that popular?
I feel like the fact that you're fine. I feel like the fact that you're worried about that though would tell people that, you know, you're not writing it because it's popular or because, do you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that you're worried about it means it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I really want to keep writing what I'm writing because like, I love my current stories, my story ideas, because like, I want to make this because like I said, verse novels, the really popular ones, all of them actually. I'm the only one doing these kind of whimsical stories in verse that I found. Like, I haven't found a single other person doing Harry Potter or Hunger Games-esque stories in verse. And it's like, why? And then
I would be intimidated to write that way. Poetry has always intimidated me. Except there's one poem that for some reason, even though it's like a poem, I'm not intimidated by it. And that's the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, like my poetry is my goal. The way I write mine and what I strive for is to make it very easily accessible. And I don't know if P.O. started the book yet or not, but like,
not yet. If you look at my Goodreads, I've got like 20 or something books on the go. Some of them, like I started 6 years ago and I haven't finished yet. Like I'm reading On Writing by Stephen King. I enjoy it. I learned a lot from it. I think I'm only 60%. Don't ask me why. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Gotcha.
Some books I can finish in one day. Others, it takes me 5 years.
Gotcha. Well, like, but yeah, I try to write it very accessibly and like make it very easy to read. So like the best way I can describe my style is it's a more mature Dr. Seuss. That's the best way I can describe my style.
I would love that.
So like it's that. I mean, it's rhymey, it's fast paced, it's actiony, got a lot of drama and suspense, but it's kind of like that Dr. Seuss feel. It's like got the really bouncy rhythm, rhyme, flow, and it's just like okay, like that's what I do with mine, and it's like okay, I wish more people would try it. And I get what you're
your
saying.
work has a lot of flow. Like it is what I have read. It is really fun, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, like I think for poetry, flow is very important. Like when you're reading a poem, you want it to almost be like a song. Like it has to slap. If it doesn't slap, like then you're not having fun. And even if it's like a dark poem or whatever, like it's gotta have a good flow. Otherwise, you're just gonna you're gonna get disengaged. That's my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, and that's my problem with a lot of these popular ones is like they don't. For me, they don't flow. It's like they all write it in free verse, which is non-rhyming poetry, which is good if it's actual poetry. But even non-rhyming poetry should have a rhythm and a flow.
I think like I write a lot of free verse too, but like I try to make sure that it slaps, right?
Yeah,
like a lot share it with somebody else. You want them to be like, "Wow, that was really good."
Yeah, but a lot of these other, like these popular verse novels just don't do that. Like it's just, like I said, it's like paragraphs cut into stanzas, very robotic voice writing. And it's just like, I read it and I'm just like, I am so bored right now. Like there's no fun to this.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Good night. I love you. Good night.
Yeah. Sorry, went on a tangent there about my struggles.
Okay. I mean, it's something that's like weighing heavily, right?
Yeah, it's everybody. Like I've had a lot of people tell me that like you should try to write something that's not so niche. And I'm just like, but I don't want to. Like I love that.
Yeah, it's hard because like you don't. I guess there's like that whole thing about being a sellout too, right? You want to stay true to your art. You don't want to be a sellout. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with writing stuff that sells, but like, what do you want to focus all your time on? Because I think there are a lot of like creators who are doing stuff that's popular, but on their own free time, they want to do stuff that has more substance and meaning to them. And it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but whatever.
I feel like right now the like morally gray love interest is like really they're really in right now, and
that and like assassin teenage girls.
Hey, we love our assassin teenage girls.
No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that's one of the very popular tropes.
Let's not step on more toes here. Everyone's gonna come after us.
More traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
And I often feel like I don't know. These characters are never as dark as I think some people make them out to be. Like my book, the romance in it is like enemies to lovers, but mainly just because the main character doesn't really understand the love interest's humor. He kind of likes to banter and like make fun of people, but it's not in a way to be mean. He's not really a morally gray love interest, and he's blonde, so I always feel like people are just like, he needs
oh yeah, if they're ginger, they're angry. If they're blonde, they're either going to be smoking hot or racist.
Well, no, not even just that, but like if they're in ginger, like they have no soul. So
yeah.
Oh my god.
The fact that that's still a thing.
I know.
I feel bad for my red-haired people.
Redhead, and he says it all the
time. Yeah. Well, like my secondary main character in my current series is a redhead, and she's a fire magic person. So like she's fiery, and like Cleo Cobb said, she's angry.
Yeah, you know what? I have a book that I'm working on, and I've been working on it since I was like a freaking kid. And there is a character, and he is a fire elemental, and he has red hair, and his character does represent anger. Like, it's kind of funny, like, we obviously absorbed that as children. Like, I didn't watch a lot of TV or movies or stuff like that as a kid. because I lived under a rock.
It's
It's like where does that come from? Like, is that
it's a
just
trope
in,
and a
like,
cliche. Like
subconscious
if
or
you watch
something?
any old 80s cartoon or anything, the redhead is always fire.
You know what? I
Captain
probably
Planet.
got that from watching Pepper Ann. I don't know if you've ever seen that show. I didn't even like it as a kid.
I
It was
feel
just
like I
on.
have. I think I have seen that.
Pepper Ann, she's too cool for 7th grade. I think that's how it goes.
I love that.
I just dated myself even more. If I sang the theme song wrong, don't come after me.
It makes me think of Doug.
I hated that show.
You remember that? Well,
the Disney version sucked, but the Nickelodeon version was awesome.
Doug was like a boring, normal guy.
I barely remember Doug. But there's Doug that I barely remember, and then I feel like there was something else. Maybe it was Pepper Ann, but I keep hearing little noises by this door, and I feel like there's a child hiding.
Is there a child like listening in underneath the crack?
Maybe. But
don't look them in the eye and back away slowly.
See, that's why you don't tell them to go to bed, because then they're going to want to sneak and listen. I used to do that.
Well,
I think we all did that as kids.
My husband was putting them all to bed when I opened the door, and I think when my 4-year-old walked in here, like, he somehow slipped out of my husband's line of sight because he was like, Robbie! I don't know if you can hear it, but yeah.
Yeah. Where were we? I don't even remember.
We were talking about redheads.
Redheads.
It's just the thing. It's probably annoying. Like, there are some people who really it grinds their gears.
Yeah. Well, like I was gonna say, so like you were talking about like enemies to lovers thing. I like my thing in my books is rivals to lovers. That's my favorite thing. Like, I kind of take that Naruto like relationship stuff and I like twist it, and I'm just like rivals to lovers. Like they hate each other, but they have to work together. But then they come to like each other.
See, with my one book with the elementals, it was an enemies to lovers thing, but then I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna do like maybe enemies to friends or enemies to frenemies, because they want to kill each other because there's fire and water.
Yeah. Well, another thing is like I hate insta love. Like why is insta love still a thing? Like they see each other and it's just I love this person. I don't even know them. I haven't talked to them yet, but I love them. And it's like
I kind of dig it. I mean, it's annoying, but I also love it. Unironically,
I want like in my books. I try to like do a build relationship. Like I try to like they start out either like they hate each other and then they go to like each other, and then by the end of the very last book, then they're like, okay, I want to try this with you. I want to try to have a relationship with you.
I wonder, has anyone ever written like a kind of enemies to lovers where at the end they're like, actually we're still enemies. We don't love each other. I wonder if that's happened. I would just like,
oh my gosh. It makes me think of Avatar, and so when I was in 7th grade, that's when Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the finale of the whole show happened, and I don't know what it was about me, but I was like, Katara and Zuko are gonna end up together, and
there's many a fan fiction about that.
There is. I've heard people are very militant about that pairing.
Well, like with Naruto, I don't know. Are you guys
Naruto and Sakura?
Are you guys okay with spoilers? Because like
I know who he falls in love with.
Yeah,
Naruto ends up with Hinata. Yeah. But people, like half the fan base, when the ending happened and he got with Hinata, it was like they lost their minds and they threatened the author and everything. They were going after him, and they were like, "Oh, she was Sakura. She was Sakura." And
they should. They had more chemistry, and like I think Sakura got with Sasuke, right? And Sasuke was like a dickhead.
Yeah, he was.
He was our hot brooding emo, but he was a dickhead, and we didn't want him to be with anybody.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
I'm only like, I don't even know how far I am in.
Oh my gosh. And then there's Gara, who is the angry redhead with sand magic.
Yeah.
Anakin Skywalker would not even dare.
I hate sand.
I'm sure somebody wrote a fan fiction crossover. Naruto and Star Wars. Anakin X Gara.
That'd be fun.
Enemies to lovers.
Yep. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we should probably call it because I'm sure my fiance is missing. My fiance is probably missing me, and I'm sure you guys got stuff to do. So, if we could stay on for just a second after we end the stream, I'm gonna talk to you, especially Amberly, real quick. I've got an offer for you. So thank you guys for tuning in. We've had one viewer this entire time, but whatever.
We love them.
Hopefully we'll get. Yeah, thank you.
I think it was my sister-in-law, which I love her, Angela. If you're watching,
comments if you're here, Angela. But so we're gonna call it here. Thanks for tuning in. Love is the mission statement. Let's hashtag make it echo. Use the hashtag make it echo and spread love and awareness and share your favorite creators and stuff. We will catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.